Welcome today for the environmental dialogue here at UCTV here in Uganda. We are here at the headquarters of Uganda Catholic Secretariat, making sure everyone gets to know what's aspiring all around the part of Africa and even in the global world. You know that within this month we had a lot of things that were happening in line with environmental should I say that conservation, protection, even the protests, the demonstration, a lot, including the flooding in Kampala. You know, whenever it's rain falls, Kampala always drown. You add of the landslide in Sebei sub-region in Queen that almost swept over 6 to 10 lives, and the government is still doing some investigation in line with that. And also in a good perspective of it, we had like some of the other commendable activities which were happening also here in Uganda, starting the week, like the month started with having especially Girls for Climate Change Action unveiling their water, launching their water report that they did in Buku. That was a very, very credible event that we had with them, with the girls, and the commissioner was also in place. And also they had the graduation, like making sure that the girls that they are empowered, at least they launch out of the community so that they are set to serve, they are set to go and engage with others. And another thing that also we had the She Leads declaration of their gender thematic, should I call it gender thematic declaration report or something, a position paper that they came up with also, that they need it to be to integrate it with the COP discussion, which is happening this month starting from 10th to 22nd. And today also here in the studio we have some people who are going to represent us at COP. So you know the youth always will be represented, as we have always advocated for that opportunity, that space for the young people. And with not only withstanding that only, the government also came up with the national forum for the delegates to at least launch and bring all the delegates in places, the negotiators in place, and brief them on the standpoints or the key thematic areas, the 8 thematic areas that the country is going to table during this COP negotiation. This is going to happen in Brazil, in Berlin. It was also something that was a success because we had really a credible number of people from all part of the country who came to witness and hear what the government is going really to table for this year's COP in Berlin, in Brazil. So, and the event ended on Friday with also girls from MEMPROM who are here today in the studio. They had a very credible documentary which they did in northern Uganda, and that's the reason why we have come today here in this studio to talk about it, to digest this, and you know it leads us to a topical discussion of the impact of climate change on the livelihood of the people in the local area. Because due to their videos or the documentary, we have seen that there's a lot of things that these girls, the ladies, the women who make up the 80% of our agriculture here in Uganda, who are the base of our food production here, they are doing something to build, to contribute to the GDP of the country. And I rest by saying that please don't touch your dial, don't change to any channel or anything. Please, I'm going to invite them to introduce themselves, then we shall go straight to the topical discussion of today. All right then, let me welcome them. Let me start from my no, the center stage. Let me start from the right and center stage. That is my lovely guest. Please, you're most welcome today for the show. Introduce yourself to the viewers.
A very good evening to everyone. My name is Namata Lyton, and I'm a founder, Chair for Learners, but also a MEMPROM girl. And I'm a digital advocate for education, climate education, and mental health education. I'm very excited for this conversation, and I'm glad to be here.
All right, then.
Yes.
Keep the ball rolling. The next one.
Good evening, our listeners. Yes, I just love to think that I'm a climate activist. I'm also a communication officer I love doing movement building work, and that's why I work with a lot of movements of young people. And my name is Sharon Ochola, and I work as the communications person at the Mentoring and Empowerment Program for Young Women, MEMPROM. Yes, over to you.
She's not only a communication person, she's also a leader. You know, as I always tell you that politicians focus on maintaining themselves in position, but leaders focus on empowering the future generation, and that's why I call them leaders, young leaders who are igniting, you know, the fullness of energy in the green championing of this environmental conversation. All right then, Sharon, thanks for coming, and thanks for the recommendable work that MEMPROM is doing. I watched the documentary that you people did in Abakwaj, and gave me a lot of things that the young people now who are coming up like you, it means that really the future is bright, because those days we used to have only women who were few of us into these spaces, and everything was left for the government, the local government. So why did you and your team, first of all, came up with all this documentary in Pakwach, and why is it that Pakwach that you picked interest in?
Okay, so thank you very much. Now, our documentary, I'd love to really refer to it as an eco burden of climate change. Yeah. But also somebody else can focus on the livelihood aspect of that, like the social aspect or the lively aspect of it. But when you generalize everything else, you'll understand that there is the unequal burden of climate change on the different gender. Not that we are not recognizing the impact on men, but gender, I'm meaning both, right? But the way I will experience it is different from the way you, Dickens, will experience it. Yeah. And so for us as an organization, what really informed us coming up with this documentary was us trying to generate local evidence and narratives around these conversations of, like, when we are saying climate is impacting on women and girls more than men, what do we actually mean? Where is the evidence? Where is the proof to this whole perspective, this whole narrative? Because sometimes it is always thought like it is now, this is now an issue of gender fight, but the truth is it is beyond that. So for us as an organization that continues to work with young women and girls, and that has been grounded around women and girls, empowerment of women and girls, and the leadership of women and girls, then that is what really prompted us to do this conversation, to do this documentary. And when you're saying why Pakwach of all the other districts in the country,
because we have Tioga Basin, we have the Albert Basin, we have even here in Kamwanyi, Luzira, and I've seen you even operating some other parts of Jinja. Is it the lake shores? You guys even have tried to do some work in Buko. Is it in Mayuge? All those areas. So, but why is it that you picked Pakwach? That's why I want that the viewer should understand this.
Yes, thank you. So the Mentoring and Empowerment Program for Young Women, MEMPROM, is legalized organization that operates in the entire country. But also we have done a lot of our climate empowerment engagements more in the West Nile sub-region. Yeah. And we wanted something that really consolidates everything, that really shows us, yes, there is a cause for study. Yeah. While the entire part of West Nile is more like every part of the country, like you said, smallholder farmers constituting the biggest number of workers in the who are even contributing to the GDP, right? Yeah. So this is one of the sub-region that continues to use agriculture for most of the economic activities. Most families depend on agriculture. Now for Pakwach is more unique that because of the Albert Nile, that most of these families actually depend on fishing as form of the farming, but also as smallholder farmers. Now we wanted to look at a conversation, we wanted to look at something that aligns farming, that aligns actual tilling of land and keeping of animals, like all these components that we think associates with farming as a whole complement. Yes, and that is where that's why I actually went to Pakwach. But also the other important reason was because for the last 2 years, that whole district has been flooding. But what has been the correspondence, like action that has been taken in place? I have personally not seen any humanitarian action happening, like maybe food aid or whatever, just to come and support people. But also I think I come from that region, so I think that there is a lot of blame shifts. Like, I think it is the responsibility of you, and I think it is the responsibility of the leaders. The leaders think it is my responsibility. So there's a lot of gap and misunderstanding, and yet we say that for us to confront climate change impact, it needs to be a joint effort. Yeah. There's a lot to do with solidarity and a lot of movement building for us to, to counteract this impact and also try to adapt to it and mitigate it. Yeah. But this seems not to be happening in this community, and because of the flooding, that sometimes even the flooding is worse, that it cuts off the entire West Nile, because this is the gateway to West Nile. Yeah? If you're coming to West Nile and you have to cross you want to go to Nebi, Zombo, Pakwach, and Arua and all other districts. We have about more than 9 districts, I think. And you have to cross this side, then you have to use the same bridge that is already being cut off. So for us, that was now the point of interest. Now, the flooding is happening. We're asking ourselves, how do children access education? Because these are important services that they need to access. How are pregnant women or girls accessing health units? How are we making money, livelihood sources like access to markets and so forth? And for me, that question alone made us understand that while we are considering and talking about the gendered impact of climate change, it makes you understand that actually when you position it and try to look it without selfish bias, that women are in a disadvantaged stage when it comes to climate change impact. When we talk health-wise, when we talk to education, because already we have said, yes, historically, women access to education, we are just trying to push right now with affirmative actions and see women get on board and all this. But when we are still having the challenges of like schools are being cut off and your children are being cut off, we need a boat to cross to go to school, but the boats that we have are also of questionable standards, and the market that is supposed to give them the source of livelihood is also questioned. Yes, the men are the ones fishing, but at the end of the day, who goes to the market to raise the money? So for me, those are the things really that prompted us to focus mainly in Pakwach.
All right, then let me come to Lyton. Lyton, as an education advocate, we have heard all what Sharon is saying, what triggered all this documentary and that passion to go to Pakwach. So as you, a person who, in the lens of education's perspective, what do you think that is the real problem? Is it the community themselves, or maybe the local government in Pakwach that failed to do their work, or they are sleeping on their job?
Thank you once again, Dixon, and I would love to commend MEMPROM for this wonderful opportunity, and also what they did in Pakwach, because it's a rare conversation that we are having right now about gender and climate and how it affects climate. So when it comes to climate, let's not do the blame, like Sharon said, the blame game. If we are to look at our climate as a whole, we all understand that we all have a footprint, though there are those who have a bigger one than us. We can say, for example, right now, as last year in COP, there was a conversation of the financing and COP, and we were looking at who is to blame, and everyone was looking at the global north and how it is affecting the global south. So we see that this, if we start to shift that, oh, you are the cause and you are affecting me, we shall never reach anywhere, because we shall be in circles and circles. So I can say it's a collective stewardness that we need to put to ourselves, that we say this is our home and we need to work around it. But when it comes to the part of understanding where everyone's efforts are, there are those who hold more authority when it comes to that place. For example, local leaders, we can say local leaders, we can say governments and the communities at large. However, we cannot, once we put them in that position of authorities, what are you doing really? What is your job? Because I believe Pakwach has actually an environmental office.
Yeah.
But we have to understand, what are you doing? What is the power given to you? What have you done? What have you input in this community? What have you tried out before us, the civic spaces, come in for you, before we come to help you? And then they also have to ask government, what have you given us? What is the mandate that you have given us? And in that way we can have a proper communication, because we can now collaborate better with the civic spaces. But you find that now it is, like Sharon said, the conversation has not been on about Pakwachi. Pakwachi has been experiencing this whole issue of flooding, but we are seeing that it's now coming out right now. And we are acknowledging that, oh, actually there is an issue with Pakwach. And we see that this is a region that is it's like she said, it's a gateway, meaning it cuts off the other places. If you do not work around it, the other places are affected that come behind it. So we look at it in a way that, for us, the information and the information gap up to the local people, it is a very big one when it comes to understanding climate, when it comes to understanding what is happening to them. Because for them, actually, they think it's just weather changes that is happening. Like, oh my God, we are no longer getting the seasons that used to happen. It's something that they are saying, oh, season used to be like this, but it's no longer like that. And you get, when you sit down with them, they're like, oh, we do not know that this is actually something that is a long-term thing that has happened because of maybe things we have done over and over and over and over and over and over and over to lead to where we are right now. But also when it comes to also that part of education, it also, we see that, what have we input in these people? Schools, what are you teaching the young people about climate? The child of Pakwachi, how are you educating them when it comes to climate, to their environment? How are you going to talk to them, to introduce this topic to them? First and foremost, now the schools are closed, they are flooded, the girls have dropped out of school, they are pregnant, and they cannot access now the health centers. So how are we going to introduce this conversation to them, that actually what is happening to you, you might think it's just you got pregnant and that's it, but it was something that happened through this and this and this cause, which leads up to the flooding that happened here, and you lost the opportunity to go to school, which led to this. Markets were closed, and because they were closed, the economies are closed. You could not now access the economic things that you need. Maybe your parents had no choice but to give you up for marriage, something like that. So we see that these are all interconnected, and we see one thing that we need to address. We usually want to put SDGs out of themselves. Like, you want to solve one SDG at one, but one SDG affects the others. That without this SDG, the others are all affected. So when you look at climate as a whole, climate action, you see it reflects that if you do not address the environment, it is going to affect the people, it is going to affect also their profit. That's what sustainability is all about. It is going to affect everything that concerns them. So environment is really important, but their education, what are you telling the people, the communities? How are you addressing it? How are you introducing it to them? Ministry of Education, we advise that now put it in curriculums, that these young people, right from the word go, they get to know this, that, oh, I need to steward the environment. I need to be an ambassador. It's not a blame game. Everyone is in charge.
Okay. Oh, then now brings me to Sharon. Sharon, I know that you people carried out you did the documentary, and the documentary was due to the research that you people carried out around the region. So what are some of some of the findings that you feel that this maybe is the main disease that is sparking all this, that we need to either engage the government, or maybe we need the global world, like United Nations, maybe UNDP, who should say that, please, we need your hand. Because I know that, especially the rural people whom you say that they are still they are still surviving on subsistence farming, because what they only get is hand to mouth. There's nothing like for market production or anything that can cross the border of Pakwach, maybe to go to Arua or to go to other parts of the country. So what are some of the things that you see that is the main cause of all this that is sparking the flooding, that students or pupils are not able to go to school, the women are not able to access the market, and also maybe any other activities that is taking place?
I would think like what Lyton said, that all of us are responsible, and activities, we are doing so many activities.
Yeah.
Like human activities contribute to these things. And also I would think maybe because
they're doing out of ignorance.
No, a lot of climate change will happen, right?
Yeah.
But it's not supposed to happen in very fast way. Like I always tell people, just like the way God put immunity in ourselves, God made already the ecosystem that was supposed to be there to heal and prepare as things change. Yeah. But when we tamper with these ecosystems, if we are doing the tree cutting massive, we want to settle at the river banks. We want to do, we're not disposing things properly, and all these things contribute to the changes. But also at a personal level, while development is happening, settlements are, like we are clearing urbanization, settlements, and all things are happening. For me, the question is now the question of accountability. How accountable are we to the actions that we are taking? Yeah, because at the end of the day,
is it with the stakeholders or the community or the government?
Stakeholders, everybody as long as this is your world, you're here on this planet Earth. Yeah, we all have to be accountable for it. Like Lyton said, okay, yes, while we have to hold the global north accountable, global south accountable, global north also we all have to be held accountable. Global north, global south, everybody has to be held accountable. So the same thing with this community, whether I am a leader, like Lyton said, what are you doing in your position of power? Even a community person has power. We have power within, to act.
Yes.
We have power, like when we, hold hand for solidarity and all these things, we can drive change. But the question is, how accountable are we? So sometimes when we are denying the sense of accountability in this whole movement, then it becomes a problem of where we think, I have not contributed to this, or maybe it was my grandfather or my father who cut down the things, and yet all of us have to pay the repercussion at the end of the day. So for me, that is maybe some of the few things that I can look at now, and maybe when we come back later, we can dive further into the conversation. All
right, Sharon has said that nature will always make you to pay for the crime that you have committed against it or what, because there is no excuse, with nature will never forgive you, even though God forgives and forgets for all. Even though sometimes for us here at Environmental Day, we say, Calico, maybe she will change. Next time I won't maybe forgive. But with nature, it has no that excuse. That's the reason why they are preaching about love for environment, love for Mother Nature. Please, we need to embrace this. And we are still continuing with this conversation. It's still going on and on. I just want us to go for a short commercial break. Then we shall get back to another phase or another series or episode of this conversation that we are still trying to explore more and more with Sharon and Lyton. Thank you.
UCTV, good news for all.
Tiene que soñar.
Hello and welcome to UCTV. Welcome to Connect with Mary.
You're the Alpha and the Omega.
Uganda Catholic Television. I'm Sunday Gloria of Watch with UCTV News.
We need people to pay for content. Bernardo Silva, Matheus Nunes, and Haaland!
Swings it across to Christie.
UCTV. Good news for all.
Are you 18 to 35 years old? Live your life to the fullest with the Center Evolution Youth Savings Account. With the Center Evolution Youth Savings Account, you get a free ATM card, no monthly charges, free bank drafts for school fees payments, and attractive interests. And that's not all. Enjoy access to financial literacy, entrepreneurship opportunities, and bank loans. Opening the Center Evolution Youth Savings Account is your ticket to a brighter future. For more information, please visit any of the nearest branches today or call our toll-free line 0800 200 555 or 0800 335 344.
Centenary Bank.
Kuleza Farm with Centenary Bank, agribusiness solar loan of up to 50 million shillings for a solar-powered irrigation system on your farm. Enjoy a grace period tailored to your cash flows and loan offer amounts from 100,000 up to 50 million Uganda shillings with flexible loan periods up to 60 months. Apply for a Centenary Bank agribusiness solar loan through our branches, agents, and enjoy a fixed interest rate of just 1.7% per month. Kuleza Farm with Centenary Bank agribusiness solar loan today and watch your farming dreams come to life. Visit any of our nearest branch today or call our toll-free line 0800 200 555 or 0800 335 344.
Centenary Bank.
Centenary Bank is a member of the Center Group regulated by Bank of Uganda. Customer deposits of up to 10 million shillings are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda. Terms and conditions apply. Kuleza Farm with Centenary Bank, agribusiness solar loan of up to 50 million shillings for a solar-powered irrigation system on your farm. Enjoy a grace period tailored to your cash flows and loan offer amounts from 100,000 up to 50 million Uganda shillings with flexible loan periods up to 60 months. Apply for a Centenary Bank agribusiness solar loan through our branches, agents, and enjoy a fixed interest rate of just 1.7% per month. Kuleza Farm with Centenary Bank agribusiness solar loan today and watch your farming dreams come to life. Visit any of our nearest branch today or call our toll-free line 0800 200 555 or 0800 335 344.
Centenary Bank.
Centenary Bank is a member of the Center Group regulated by Bank of Uganda. Customer deposits of up to 10 million shillings are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello and welcome back to Connect with Mary on the Uganda Catholic Television. Good news for all.
Today, like I told you earlier, we are going to talk about the 7 sorrows of Mary.
You know, for me, the strength of Mary, I think, we are looking at Mary as a symbol of strength and resilience.
When Simeon saw Jesus, because the angel God had revealed to him that he will not die until he sees.
If it was not the woman, the mother of Jesus.
Support the Uganda Catholic Television with MTN Momo. Step 1. Dial *165*3#. Step 2. Enter merchant code 180572. Step 3. Enter any amount from 500 Uganda shillings. Step 4. Pay using MTN mobile money. Step 5. Enter PIN code and send. Step 6. You will receive a confirmation text for supporting the Uganda Catholic Television.
Do more with Center Mobile app. Move with your bank and pay water bills, school fees, pay light, withdraw or deposit money, pay for DSTV or GoTV, pay for start times, open app accounts, get loans, and so much more. Download the Center Mobile app on Google Play Store or App Store now. For more information, call our toll-free line or chat with us on WhatsApp. Centenary Bank. Centenary Bank is a member of the Center Group regulated by Bank of Uganda. Customer deposits of up to 10 million shillings are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda.
The Mbara Ecclesiastical Province Association, MEPA, annual pilgrimage to Namgongo is here again. Mark your calendars for Sunday, the 9th of November 2025 at the Uganda Namata Shrine, Namgongo. This year's spiritual journey is animated by Kasese Diocese with the main celebrant, Right Reverend Francis Aquinas Chibira, Bishop of Kasese Diocese, joined the faithful from every corner of Uganda in a day of prayer, faith and renewal under the uplifting theme, Let's Live Our Faith and Serve God and Neighbor in Company with Mother Mary. Don't miss this holy encounter at Namgongo Mater Shrine. Come, be transformed and walk together in faith with Mother Mary as our guide.
UCTV, good news for all.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. You know, we need still to make some money for our clients, for people who love environmental dialogue and support Uganda Catholic Television here. So you know that we always, whenever we share such information, you need to share, you need to like, go to our YouTube page. You like it, you share the information. You can send your comments, also leave there, because we are people who want to learn. We are people who want to see where we can do our best to serve your interest and the interest of the public. So you're most always welcome. You can connect us, reach out even to our social media handles. You can follow us on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on X, on Facebook, UCTV, everywhere. We are in all social media handles that you can follow us. All right, then let me get back to my guests, the conversation that we are still having here in line with the topic of today, the impact of climate change on the livelihood of the local people, especially the case study with Pakwach people they have been facing a lot of this, you know, the outburst of this climate change, what a lot of reports have been always coming and even affecting the people of Madi Okolo. Because I remember there was a report just recently that they said that the people of Madi Okolo said that they were not even seeing fish because of the rise of water level. So now when we ask ourselves, how will the people of Pakwach or the Lul access Angara, which is so-called, or Nang Nang, the so common fish which is around there. So all this, Sharon and Lyton who were in the ground, they are going to bring us, if maybe even the people of Pakwach, due to the overflooding, that their livelihood in trading in Angara or Nang Nang has also been affected, that they no longer have access maybe to that, you know, the market to sell their Nang Nang. All right then, Sharon, yes. We are still going, continue with the conversation. So we have all these outbursts and all these problems, and we are looking at the livelihood, which is the main thing of the people in the villages.
Yep.
And now with all this overflooding, and we still know that the rain is still raining, and the climate is still climating, as someone just saying that.
Yes.
There is nowhere we are going to. We don't have any planet X or going to the Mesosphere or Exosphere that we talk about, but we are here on Earth.
Yes.
So with all this, what are some of the intervention in line with the adaptation plan that the government has come with? We have the mitigation measures that the government has been sharing, and also as the person who is going to represent the young people at COP and having that opportunity, maybe you sit with Honorable Winifred and he said that Masiko, and he said, please, the issue of the women, we need money for this and this. So what are some of the intervention that you see that we can
practically? Me, I am firstly very grateful that being part of young people's movements in climate action has really helped me understand so much that people are doing.
Yeah.
But also focusing basically on this for Pakwach documentary done by MEMPROM. I think we need to do a lot. It may sound like a recommendation, but also an action that locally led programs.
Yeah.
And these programs need to start with the education that Lyton was talking about. Because for me, yes, while God is supposed to be held responsible, that God is just trying to change things, we also need to understand how exactly we are changing things, helping God to change things. Yeah? Because now we get somewhere where people are so comfortable and they're saying, this thing is just, you know, it's just supposed to be happening, right? It's supposed to be happening, but we are not you know, holding ourselves and understanding that this is what we're supposed to do. Now, in the documentary, we also saw that the district is actually giving seedlings, tree seedlings for people, yeah, to continue planting, to, you know, like as we say, we need to do greening, like for all these things, because most of these things, the greenhouse gas emission is happening because of human activities, but also human activities sometimes come because of the excessive tree cutting that we are doing without replacement, massive deforestation that is happening. So yes, while we are seated at the river banks and so forth, can we plant trees, the tree seedlings that we are being given, like Pakwach district is doing. MEMPROM itself that I know is that we are doing a lot to do engagements with schools, even the tree growing and planting, we are doing it in schools too, and also communities, training young people in agroecology farming practices. Are you also engaging NFA and NEMA? Not yet. Not yet. We are not engaging them yet, because we are trying to do, like I said, like at grassroots levels. But our engagements, like having stakeholders engagement, for them to understand that we are doing these things and these are the challenges people are doing, we have those kind of engagements. And interface engagements between the grassroots people and the stakeholders, the right holders and the duty bearers, right? Okay. So we have a lot of that interface. And that's why for me, I still cherish a lot to do with grassroots-led actions, yeah? Because we are the ones at the hem of this problem. It's not going to be somebody who is in office. There's some, yes, while we say climate change impact will cut across, whether you sit in the highest, the tallest building, it will still find you if you don't, you know, counteract it. But there's somebody who is going to have a severe impact. Like right now, we are talking about the women and girls. That if we don't help them, then the thing is going to be worse. Like there's somebody who is going to suffer more than the other person, right? Now, we talked about the livelihood issue. That, but also, Pakwach district extends up to Panyumur. I don't know if you know, these are all farming, fishing communities, right? Yes. Now, like you said, the water level will continue rising, climate change will continue happening, and so forth. But for me, like I said, the capacity building of communities need to continue happening. And also, if we are telling people to grow seedlings, or to grow trees, we need to know that people are not going to eat trees. What kind of approaches can we use that can help people, to grow the trees, but also have food? Because we may think, exactly, we may think we are just trying to green, and yet at the same time we are also causing hunger. But also we need to be very selective of what kind of trees we are growing and what kind of actions we are doing. You're not going to tell me I am trying to solve a food problem or maybe hunger issues, You probably think you're contributing very well to the SDGs, right? But what are you bringing for me? Is it a GMO? Am I using a lot of chemicals? Which also still comes to killing back the soil health and the soil life, right? And also injecting a lot of chemicals in the air, which still contributes to the climate change because of greenhouse gas emission that is happening. And that is why as MEMPROM, we cherish so much on climate resilience issues. We do so much to do with agroecology farming practices, that we do a lot of local knowledge, but also use a lot of biodegradable products. I'm talking about fertilizers and pesticides that are made out of local materials. The leaves that we see everywhere. In my tribe, there are those that we call Ochero. It's very bitter, but that thing is very good for spraying plants. It's medicinal. Yes, it is. And also not that not the Ochero, not the Ochero, the vegetable. For me, that you're speaking of the Ochero, the that vegetable. One is different. I was even impressed. Because we have different types. There is this, it is green and it has yellow flowers. It's very bitter also. And then there is one which is totally green. I know we have like 3 varieties, one which we eat as human beings, the other ones are different. Which one is that one, Sharon? Is it only in Pakwach? No. I don't know if it is in other districts, but I've seen it across West Nile, and the names vary, right? Okay. Yes, the names vary. There is this one which is totally green, and sometimes we actually use it for making soda ash. Like the ones that you burn, like the way wood has burnt, and you see this, but we make soda ash out of it, and we use the soda ash for cooking. So these are like local knowledge that is there, but are we using them? And also, like, we have trained so many women to use, like, you've cooked, the ash is there, don't just pour it for the sake of pouring it. Get it, gather it, make the ash, the liquid out of it, and use that for spraying your plants. And this has helped us a lot, and also including, we know like Western sub-region also has the 2 seasons like the country has, dry and wet. So how do we prepare people to continuously keep growing? We have tried to train women and smallholder farmers, men also, in it that they have to do a lot to do with water conservation. You don't need to install a huge tank. You just dig trenches in your garden and see that during the period of excess rains, water is harvested to help you. So these are some of the local actions that I think still suffice and can be, you know, like replicated to different communities. And for me, I am looking at Pakwach as one of the communities that can benefit from this. And I'm happy to say that while we are in Western sub-region, we have worked with very many local actors, CBOs, youth groups, to do a lot of, you know, community approaches, community activities. And these are things that we hope like can build sustainability and build solidarity. Yes.
Okay, all right then. Let me go to Lyton. Lyton, who is now in education, because Sharon has spoke about the languages, using indigenous knowledge in all this, and I don't know if even you know that Ochero in your language, and now this is the issue that people have been facing in the climate spaces that we have been getting. We have policies, we have bylaws in places, but first of all, do you know what's called even climate in your language? That one you'll answer in your discussion. Because I always ask people that we speak about this policy, we speak about SDG, and someone is saying, is it a new animal in town? Is it, we are speaking about sustainability, we are speaking about adaptation, biodiversity, ecosystem, and a local person is looking at you as someone who is. So, is it the problem of the language that has made people to always say government to yambe, or maybe it's us who have not checked that a lot of empowerment to these communities, that they need to embrace all what we are coming up with? Because we have seen that even Sharon is saying that even people are living now the way of indigenous knowledge, and they are looking at the white man's knowledge, which sometimes is not applicable to the surrounding or the environment that are. So what's the issue? Is it you, the educationists, who have failed to do your work, or maybe you're waiting also for the resources for the from COP to start doing your work?
Thank you, Dickens, and for that. Here's the thing: whenever I talk about education and climate education, I always want to emphasize the point of the part of behavior and how were we raised when it comes to this concept of environment. And when it comes to it, I remember one time I was around Nakawa roundabout there, and someone opened out their car window, and I think they had drunk a soda, and then the person threw out the bottle of soda. So if I looked at that person and I said, oh, you are also part of the problem that is happening to us right now, and you are doing this maybe out of ignorance, that you do not know that now this is your environment, or because you are not or that's who you are. For example, when we look at climate crisis right now in communities, it is a bigger challenge. The tip that we are seeing the things that are happening, we are seeing the things we can see, but it also goes back to the internal things that we cannot see. What is their behavioral patterns when it comes to climate, to environment, what is their perspective when it comes to this conversation. We see that very many people are not, they do not hold them, like Sharon said, accountability. They have this thing of, it is not me. When you look at a case like, for example, Kampala, someone would litter somewhere and say, oh, it is KCCA's role to do this. KCCA has people to clean this. This is our taxpayers' money, but it is you who has thrown this bottle down. And when you also look at the terminologies in climate, we should be able to simplify them for people. If I'm to talk to a young child about adaptation, which word can I use, another word for it, for this child to understand, for this young girl in Pakwach, for a grandmother in Pakwach to understand. Because, for example, I'm from Central, and you've asked me something like, oh, what is climate change in your language? And we can say enchuka chuka muntebereza y'obudde, like changes in the general weather. So if I'm to now speak to my mom and I tell her climate crisis, and then I tell her adaptation, resilience, what, she'll look at me with this thing of can we simplify this? So we need to get also a language from these our very people right now. Through what we are trying to do is to write stories for young children about educating them about climate through play, through games, through storybooks. But we are also trying to look for these words. We can't find them. You want to write a story about something, but then the word to replace that thing. You're asking yourself, how do I tell a child carbon footprint? How would they understand it? So we need to break down the language for them. We need to really break down the terminologies. Let's not make things complicated. This is a weather issue that is happening to us.
Who's working with that? Is it government or the local people should gather themselves? I think here's the thing is that when we come to the core players, like you've said, livelihoods, what is being affected? Health is affected. Finances are affected, education is affected. So we need to sit down and we look at each other and we say, so in your finance part, as you as a financial person, how would you communicate to a local person whose market is submerged, and you want to tell them that, oh, climate is the one causing this? So how are you going to tell this person? Are you going to say, you see the carbon footprint from the global north? At first I even didn't know the global north. I was like, what is a global north? Until I sat down with Sharon, and Sharon had to educate me about these things. Like, she had to teach me that, oh, this is what it means, and this is what... You can imagine that also even as the activists do not know some terminologies. So it goes also back to us as the ministry, I think, of water released the COP declaration, the one Uganda is going to use. So Uganda, how have you broken it down for the local person to understand? Because at the end of the day, you're going to base policies that are, let me say, gender responsive policies from that declaration to bring it back to what? To the people. But you have not communicated it to the people in the language they understand. We are over 54 tribes. We all have different languages. Some know English, some do not know. We cannot always continue communicating in English. I need to speak to a person in my community in Luganda, otegedotya nti chino chikukwatako ng'omuntu. It is upon you that this climate issue is not a government issue that you are going to sit down and say, oh, government, see what is happening. Yes, it is their responsibility to do so because we have elected them in power, we have given them authority. But how have I communicated to you that actually it might be because you do not know how to dispose of your wastes? It might be because when you choose your cooking methods, you choose things that are not sustainable for the environment. So you look at such things that when you go back to that part of understanding this whole conversation of climate, we are going to go back to behavior patterns. We need to change people's mindset over this thing. It is not a UN problem.
You know, like, so many things come in my mind when Lyton is talking. And when he was talking about the behavioral thing, I was like, yeah, sometimes we think it is all being fancy and an issue of lifestyle. Even the fashion trends we are doing, we do not know how all these things contribute in one way or the other. I mean, I'm dumping what I am dumping, like Lyton said, and then I say, it's supposed to be Dickens to handle this. But how am I contributing to Dickens' thing? Or maybe, no, I need to dispose of because I'm giving Dickens work.
Exactly.
Like, no, there is a certain position where he can collect those things, those bottles, and if he wants to recycle, he can recycle. Yeah, for me. But also when we are talking about the behavioral information, we're talking about the communication aspect of it. Yes, so I think some of the biggest things really is in communication.
Yes.
Now, like this documentary, I'll tell you, we called, during dissemination, we had the people from the same community the people from this community that we documented.
Yeah.
Yeah? There is a community called Were.
Yeah.
We called representatives from there, representatives from the Pakwach and all those things. And for me, the shock was like, hey, you mean we are suffering like this?
You mean even the people, they
like
don't know that they're
point when we are accountable and
know.
not understand our problem?
Yeah.
Yeah? Like, of course, like, you mean, of course, they're now understanding the gravity of this problem.
Yes.
Like how grave this problem is. They have, because this documentary is showing the submerged markets, is showing how people are crossing to road, and then there was some community person who was telling us how a lady gave birth just when she was going to cross because she could not reach the hospital early.
You mean that they never had access to...
No, it's like knowing I have this problem but not knowing, also not knowing this problem. I think I should say it like that. Like I know, okay, I know I don't have shoes, but I'm comfortable walking without them, but either I'm comfortable or I actually do not know that I need shoes. Or maybe I am comfortable walking with shoes, but I do not know that sometimes I need to earth, like I need to bond with earth, Mother Nature, and walk with bare feet, right? So I think like the only best solution is for me to walk in shoes. And yet sometimes it's okay for you to walk with your bare feet and then you just get a grounding on earth, like to have your legs pressed and all these things. Yeah. So for me, that is the power in communicating climate issues, because then people get to tell their story the way it is and watch this story and understand that, okay, I think now we have a bigger problem. Not like all the time the government to yambe all the time. Like sometimes we have to save ourselves. Yeah. So when they see these things, it is very important. And also, like, I like what Lyton said, and doing the stories that she's doing. Writing these stories, sometimes we have to write them. But also, I think these days we have so many avenues where people can really tell stories in whatever way they want. There are people who can just sit on TikTok and like really digest issues, and you're like absorbed in it. And these are things that we used to have. You know, like those days, they would say people used to fire camp. And that is how we used to like board knowledge to the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. While these days we appreciate the fact that we have technology revolution and we literally don't have time to see our parents and sit with our grannies and all these things, but we also have the power of the social media that is already like bringing information in our hands. And we just need to see how we can roll people to use social media for the right cause. Yes. I just wanted to feel about that. Thank you.
And also to add on what Sharon has said, when it also comes to the part of innovating around climate, around the solutions we are giving to people, and that's why I liked what MEMPROM we are doing. It's to really use the indigenous knowledge. I was somewhere for a summit. It was also about climate, and we were looking at young people's innovations when it comes to what they're innovating around climate. And I was shocked that people were. I would sit down with a young person and I'm like, how is your community like? It's like, oh, my community is this. Let me give an example for Pakwachi. We all know how it looks like. So, and the person would want to innovate around AI for Pakwach. So you see that the solution you're trying to give to the people of Pakwach is not what they need right now. So like you said, you want to use the Western knowledge to solve a problem that is happening to people in a rural area. How will they receive the network? Do they have the devices for it? Do they have the understanding of these things? So even the innovations we are trying to use for these people, let's work around the indigenous knowledge as we grow, because obviously innovations grow and grow and grow and grow. So let's work around the innovations that we see, that if to address, for example, flooding in Pakwach, what am I going to do for them? What are we going to innovate around that? How are we going to help them? How is it starting from where they are as a community? Let's not drive communities into speedily progress that they cannot handle. For example, and let's look at example that the fire, that the tsunamis that happened in the US, and I think it was California. These guys are already set. They have already houses that can actually float off once the fire comes, once the water levels rise, someone can raise actually their house up to a place where it is safe. So if we are to do also proper infrastructure for places like Pakwachi, but now we have to understand the economic nature of our people. So first we can start off small with planting trees, really.
The economic nature of our country. Yes.
All right, then in 1 minute, Sharon, you have done the research, the documentation. We have seen the documentary. We invited the people of Pakwach. We watched it. You invited us. We watched it. We had a nice catch up there. So, and we are here. So, what's the next step that MEMPROM is going to do? Are we going to receive the money for the people of Pakwach, or maybe you're also we are believing the government in this case?
No, while we are believing in the government also, I think right now the position where we are in, we are just looking for partners and we are looking for financing that can help us engage as many people as possible. And if you have the network and if you have the people, you have organizations that really want to work with such communities.
Tell them.
Yes, you have organizations that work with such communities. We are here as an organization. We have the grounding, we have the network, we have already initiatives that we have been doing. We just need to be supported to push it further and for us to push this community further. Because we understand one thing, the truth is climate action without financing is almost close to a very negligible percentage. We really need a lot of financing in climate action, and we need a lot of leadership and support and partnership. Your action is my action today, and my action can be your action today, and that is really what we need. Right now, COP30 has just started, and there's going to be a lot of adaptation financing conversations happening. And if our country has a chance, and maybe we have allocations of money here and there, we really want to see how we can tap into these opportunities. And sometimes it is about knowing somebody who can help me tap and guide me on the processes. And if you're that person, please don't hesitate to reach out to mempro@mempro.org. That is where we can reach out for partnership. But also if you want to call, call 0761848408 for partnership and for any other activities that we can do jointly. But I'll also ask you, as my conclusive remark, that you can go on our YouTube, MEMPRO Uganda, to watch it and also understand how much we have done, but also visit our website to see how much we have been doing with young women and girls. Thank you.
Do you have the X?
Yes, our social media handle, everything, X, Facebook, Instagram, it's all MEMPRO Uganda.
Oh, thank you for answering. I thought that you were going to ask me that, hey, I don't have X. And I was meaning Twitter. 1 minute, please, your closing remark.
I want to say climate crisis is here. It is no longer a myth. We used to just study about maybe in SST. But it is now a serious conversation, a threat to livelihoods, a threat to education, a threat to health, hunger, and everything that concerns our lives. So it is a call for everyone to take action, be a steward of your environment. You do not have planet B, this is your home. Take care of it. And also, we welcome you at MEMPRO for all those who want to work with us, because we go down to the very least person in the community to meet them where they are. Thank you.
All right, then, ladies. Thank you, Lyton. Thank you, Sharon, for coming here and sharing this knowledge with the viewers here who are always waiting to hear more and more what is happening. And you know that, please, as you go for COP, please send the youth voices. Send them, let the youth voices go and shine. We want to see our women shining, our girls are shining in Brazil. So we know that we believe the youth, that they have the energy, you have the strength, you have the knowledge. Please go and learn and come and teach some of us who are here in the community, so that we understand the perspective of where the world is heading to, because we know that every day the world is evolving, a lot of things are happening, and that's the reason, the main reason why we always hold this conversation, because we know that knowledge is power and sharing is always empowerment with the public, so that they get to understand the gist of the matter in line with the climate change. And today we it was really a nice topic, except that time really. But I still invite them. They will still come back here. We add more things. We look at other areas, because I know that they are not only working in Pakwach, but they have also other places that they are carrying out some of the intervention in those areas. And with today, Youth Go Green is still also carrying out their greening school campaign. You can reach out to them if you want your school to be part of it. You can contact them. You know, they have 3 seedlings that they can support with your school. You engage them. And we are still continuing as the young people to preach about the love for Mother Earth, because we are the ambassadors of this earth. You know, the Bible even says that you are an ambassador. So it's interesting, and we are still having more of other people, the government engaging them, and we know that the COP is starting. Is it next week? This week, 10th, from 10th to 22nd of November. The discussions are always live, I think, in other television like CNN. You can catch the discussion, CNN, Al Jazeera, and also other platforms, because there are links which are always shared. Also here, UCTV Environmental Dialogue will give you updates of every part of the negotiation of the discussion which is transpiring in Berlin at Amazon. So we'll not keep you locked out, but we'll always be there. All right, then I've come to the head of this discussion. I'm your Dickens. I'm your host, Dickens Ochero. I'll always keep on engaging you more and more as UCTV Environmental Dialogue. Love you and wish you a very beautiful, lovely day and a week. Bye-bye.
UCTV. Good news for all.